Hello there, and welcome to Fallout Greener Pastures. We're over halfway done the first part of our story. If you haven't heard the previous episodes, I feel like you should start there, or you're going to be very confused. Without further ado, we bring you our feature presentation.
In the morning, with sleds loaded, they wished their host farewell and told him they would bring the other people from their vault if they ever got the chance. He told them he appreciated their company, and with that, they headed past the North Pole. It wasn't long before they arrived at the base, just as the sergeant said. Planes dotted the landscape, all frozen in place, just as they were at the airport. Rusted metal encased in ice, much like the building they were walking into. "We're only stopping here so I can use the shortwave radio to let the general know we made it up to the military base." Shin pointed to his right. "Feel free to warm up by the heater. I won't be more than a minute." The younger group members wouldn't stop talking about the small red and white city, the animals that they could just barely make out in the distance that definitely looked like reindeer. One of the Chinese just within earshot eyed the group quizzically. "What's a reindeer? I'm pretty sure they're rad deer. You know, they kind of look like Colossus, but not quite. Still, you don't want to tango with one. One kick and you're down for the count, and they're fast. Fastest thing in the north, I bet. It can outrun a camel, a colossus, probably even a car."
Before they got to ask much else, the sergeant returned. "I told the general everything is good, and he wants an update in 2 hours on our course of action. He also gave me liberty to discuss sensitive topics with you. I was expecting that he might talk with you himself over the radio. Most of the things we've encountered on this continent are foreign to us, even after this long. But I will try to prepare you adequately. I'm sure your friend, Amka, will fill you in on details or answer any questions you might have. While we're here, could you give me more information on what exactly you meant when you asked whether we were the ones who sent you that message on your Pip-Boy? Was there a signature bearing one of our names, or did it tell you specifically to go to Fairbanks?"
Marie showed him the message she had saved to her Pip-Boy. "No, we simply received it when we were near to your settlement. It told us to have faith in humanity, and you're the first humans we came across when we ventured in this direction. It actually told us to go to these coordinates, which on my Pip-Boy lead to a place called Denali Park. From what I can see, it's just about 120 miles southwest of here." The sergeant thought hard while he perused the maps on Marie's Pip-Boy. He seemed as interested in the technology as he was in what the maps detailed. "There's nothing there as far as I remember. It's just a large mass of forest." "Wait, no, there is a small village up that way. I think before the war it acted as a company town for the people who maintained the park. The exact location seems to be near the village, so you won't need to travel far off the road. If you like, we can have a convoy set up to bring you there faster. I'm not sure what you'll find there, but you are welcome to come back here should it turn out that there's nothing there for you. We welcome those who seek us under a friendly banner."
Luke shook his head. "We wouldn't mind an escort, thank you very much. We can leave in the morning after we speak with the general again. I wouldn't mind taking a look at your underground farms, too, if you could arrange that. I have a scientific curiosity, as does my friend Rebecca. In the vault, she was the doctor, and I was head of fluvial geomorphology in the vault."
Allison chimed in, hearing this. "And I wouldn't mind seeing some of your more advanced equipment. We grew up in a vault that was powered by oil. We haven't had a chance to see a nuclear reactor in real life. Your lighting system has to be miles beyond ours, too. Preston would give his right arm, sorry, Percival, to see something like that, too."
"I'm afraid we won't let you go down there. It's sensitive equipment. Same with the reactor. My apologies, but we've only just met. Should you come back this way and you have time, maybe we can arrange that. Something of such magnitude has to go through the general anyway. There's a series of inquiries and all that. Super boring stuff."
"That's okay. Maybe next time. We'll just relax for the night and get going bright and early. Thank you once again for having us, Sergeant Shin."
"It's been nice to meet you all. Sleep well. In the morning I'll take you to see the general before you depart." With that, the sergeant bowed his head and made his way through the soldiers' barracks. The dwellers followed suit, ready for the next day to start already. Shin made good on his promise. He spent a long time describing his understanding of how the remnants of the United States government worked, what he thought they were hoping to achieve, even though the war was already lost. He admitted it was mostly hearsay. Many of the Enclave troops they had captured were steadfast, unwilling or unable to give information regarding where their home base was located, or where else they might have set up bases. Shin almost looked like he admired their resolve. Regardless of how frustrated he was without concrete information as to their movements, he told them the signature yellow and blue they wore were also the colors of the clothes that the Enclave members would sometimes wear when the Chinese would pull them out of their armor before executing them. The main difference was the suits that these people were wearing lacked a number on the back. They also have more padding, as if they were designed to be used outside as opposed to the Vault Dwellers' attire. He was scarce on the details involving the green monsters. From the reports that he is authorized to view, he was unable to offer much in terms of details. He equated the creatures to the mythical Bigfoot, a creature he found in a series of pre-war books. He thought that maybe the creature was a mutated leftover of this once majestic species. He also said it made no sense that the Americans would have such little evidence of this creature. Shortly they arrived back to the flight control tower, bypassing the sights they had previously seen. The trip made shorter by their understanding of the city and their sleds. They were greeted by the most standoffish soldier they had ever met, finally re-entering the building and being embraced by warmth once again.
Only a few dwellers were brought to speak with the general again before they left. Technova, Newton, and Luke were the sole people selected. The rest prepared their sleds for the long journey. Baths were drawn when they finished all their preparations. Since the expulsion of the Enclave from the base, various renovations had clearly taken place. The Chinese had managed to turn the showers into a large sauna. The lime green tiles still held together after ages had passed. Within the radio tower nearby, the general continued their conversation from the previous day. The flight tower personnel used the air traffic control's communication array to send messages over the distance of the city and the Air Force base. It's short notice. We've brought together a few things for your people to keep them fed and hydrated. I've been assured you are not Enclave spies, and so we'd be pleased to help you with your endeavor. We've provided you with medicine as well. We noticed a few of you were registering on the Geiger counter. We invite you to fix that before you leave. The Inuit have shown you how to use the glowing fungus to heal yourself of radiation. It's still no comparison to real medicine. You should beware. You've seen here in this city what the Enclave is capable of. Still, they're not the most dangerous things you will encounter. Your Inuit friend has probably told you many stories. If I remember correctly, they have a story about a creature called the Tornat. This is what I called the green monster. Your people had a name for these creatures as well. They were called super mutants, created to combat the plague our country was developing. They're dangerous at the best of times, and they only get bigger and meaner as they age. Don't let them catch you. They'll do worse things than any other animal, even humans. Heed my warning, Vault Dwellers, and stay alive.
Luke's Expedition Journal. So, the United States government still exists. I guess you were right about the deep state. Now they call themselves the Enclave. I'm not sure what to think of them. They're our government, the ones who helped enslave our ancestors. They're also from the proud US of A. Seeing the aftermath of their interactions with the Chinese and hearing their stories makes me want to stay the hell away. So far, the people we've come across have all been normal, or as normal as people can be in a frozen-over hell. It looks like the Chinese weren't the ones who sent us that message. Maybe we were lucky that we were never saved after the bombs went off. Who knows what sort of freedom we'd see with the Enclave in control. If the super rich created bunkers for themselves, I can only imagine the advanced technology they have. Maybe something more impressive than the technological advancements at CIT before the war. Writing from the Programmer's Digest must have been a fascinating job, especially the later issues. We'll continue on to see if we can find the source of the message. The Chinese general seems to be just as interested in who sent it as we are. Some of us wanted to stay away from the signal. They're afraid that the third time we meet people, our luck might catch up with us. If you asked my opinion, I'm not sure I'd be able to give you a good answer. I want to believe that it's a natural byproduct of living in these conditions. Somehow it makes people nicer. I know that's a lie. One of these days we're going to meet people scarier than the creatures in the forest.
The group took off once more when their meeting was concluded, this time leaving the city of Fairbanks and the base to melt away in the fog. Some wished they'd stayed, briefly seeing a new home amongst the Chinese before they turned their faces forward. The road to Denali Park was winding, with trees and hills surrounding them on all sides. The pavement had held up wonderfully in the snow over 200 years. Very few potholes sought to trip them. It wasn't that much easier than directly walking on the snow due to the amount of ice on the road, but they were glad to have a clearly defined path in front of them, so no one complained, except, as always, Newton. The road held them on a steady course as they trekked through the entire day. The trees and cliffs rose and fell as they walked, a steady tide of evergreen. Dead branches and debris were scattered all over the once frequented path. Twists and turns made it impossible to see where they had come from. Still, they kept on walking, hopeful that when they reached the location on Marie's Pip-Boy, some answers would be there to satisfy them. The group was already missing the hospitality of the Chinese. Their food and friendship, the memory of it was all that was sustaining them as the temperature dropped with the sun. It was around this time they began to see lights in the distance. The thing was that these weren't fire lights or gas lights of any sort. In fact, they appeared to be street lamps. The pre-war infrastructure of the town in front of them was fully intact, untouched by the outside world for hundreds of years. There wasn't a single person in the city. There was whirring in each of the buildings as copious robots ran back and forth, keeping things neat and tidy. They didn't create much mess themselves, so it was funny for the vault dwellers to watch them be so concerned about dirt, to the point that they would clean the soot from their own emissions as they propelled themselves along, ensuring not a speck of dirt resided anywhere in the town, or at least anywhere it wasn't explicitly required. There were still plants growing around the miniature city, each tended to by a Mr. Handy.
Wilfred's Waterlock, June 25th, 2296. They weren't even surprised by what we had planned. They told us they knew from the start. Each of us was tortured to try and determine exactly who had planned what. It didn't take them long to hunt Gregor down and force him to leave the vents. He got the worst beating out of any of us. Some were surprised that he was still alive. Most notably, the people who were assigned to shoot him. Arch Jr. just hung his head and called both soldiers rookies before he went back to beating the shit out of us. He didn't do it all himself. We were all locked into separate rooms. The man who was in charge of getting information from me was having far too much fun doing his job. He was almost giddy when he told me the secret of how they knew. Our overseer had been spying on us all our lives. There are microphones hidden in all our rooms. This was how he always seemed up to date on the newest gossip. How he was always in the know about what was going on inside the vault, from technical failures to nervous breakdowns. Without the overseer watching over the water distribution, we've all been subjected to the drugged water. I've seen the Enclave drinking some of our water as well. Hell, if I'm going to tell them anything. I could only imagine what the other dwellers would do to me if they found out I was the reason they've been hallucinating and hearing voices. I have no doubt that the Yami Cook is real. I do doubt all the weird things that people are attributing to its presence. There's no way this mutated monster can transform into people. Of course, it may have developed the ability to talk. Not with its mind, though. Do they think it's psychic? See, that's the drugs talking. I'm not looking forward to reaching their level of paranoia. There's nothing I can do to get myself clean water, though. I know none of the Overseer's codes to override the system. What should I do with the Gek? If I had to guess, the Enclave would love to get their hands on this thing. These things are supposed to make any area livable, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure how well it would work against the cold and snow. I'm going to keep it hidden in the water room. If they knew it existed, they would have taken control of it when they began rifling through our supplies and stealing our equipment. I'm surprised the soldiers haven't come back to my room since they locked me in here. My face still hurts too much to talk, so it's probably for the best. I got off lucky compared to Gregor. They've decided they're not going to try to kill him again. They have something worse in mind for him. I'm not sure on the specifics due to my concussion, but I think it has something to do with the Amy cook.
Syl McMurphy's log, June 25th, 2296. They weren't lying about doing something worse to Gregor. They've chained him next to the draw pipe as a sacrifice to the Amakuk. We haven't seen or heard from it for a while. No one is even sure that it's still lurking in the depths of the oil well. Gregor still feels bad, as if this whole situation is his fault. Maybe that's why he consigned himself to this harsh reality. He could have easily escaped and left us all behind, but that doesn't seem like the type of person he is. He's clearly had a tough time above ground. It's made him more wary of people, and with his recent affliction, he seems to have even more reason to be cautious around people, and yet he's still a kind person. Even when we were hurling insults at him, he still treated us with respect. He hid many things from the overseer, but that was probably a wise move. We hadn't come to trust him yet back then. Even now, there are still a few holdouts that don't trust him entirely. To them, I'd say one thing. He didn't have to come back and try to help us escape this place, but he did. And now he has to pay the ultimate price for trying to make things right. I don't blame him for this whole mess, and I understand why he refused to help the overseer. I can't help but think his distrust of the overseer was because he was being forced to keep quiet about the overseer's secret access tunnel in order to avoid being forced out into the wilderness again. It was all bound to come out eventually. It was just a matter of time. No one is sure how long he'll survive being chained up there. Even while I'm in here, holed up in my room, I'm not any more safe than he is, but his proximity to the site makes him a prime target. I'm not sure how truthful he was being when he told us that the Amakuk couldn't mess with his mind. I envy him if so. It must have been a strange sight watching all of us succumb to the madness. I'm sure he tried to tell us at some point what was happening, but there was nothing he could do to fix it. Merely watch us as we chose insanity over the common good. And here we are with nothing to show for it. Lost friends, lost supplies, no leadership, and no future. The ones who took their lives might have been onto something. There's still a small voice in my head telling me not to give up, although now I'm not entirely sure whose voice it is. I'm afraid it could be the Amakuk, trying to raise our hopes in order to dash them and destroy any sanity we still have left.
Kilroy McCarter's log, June 27th, 2296. A few of the dwellers thought it might be a good idea to try and break Gregor out of his confinement. I had to try and explain how stupid of an idea that would be. We're the last few dwellers who are alive. We have to do everything we can to make sure the future of the vault doesn't end with us. It's still my job as head of security to make sure that nothing more happens to everyone under my care. Now that I'm no longer forced to operate under Brooks's heel, I can finally try to be a good person and make up for some of the fucked up shit I've done over the years in the name of maintaining security in the vault. I'm not going to lie. I'm gonna miss running this place like the old days, but I guess those are behind us now. It's time for me to change, and the way the vault is run needs to change, if we survive this ordeal. Maybe if I'm patient. Maybe when all is said and done, I could be the new overseer. I won't be an ass like Brooks, but I would keep this place organized and efficient. Who am I kidding? Our only way to survive is to somehow get out of this place and meet up with the people who left. Who knew I would be hoping to see their faces? There is no reality where I thought they would be the key to our salvation. We have no idea where they've gone to, though. It's not as if they send us weekly updates. And if we have to go out there without Gregor to guide us, we'll be a wolf's meal in the first day. If we're lucky. There's no situation here where we can come out on top without some sort of miracle. The good news is, the Enclave doesn't seem to be too concerned with us. They've managed to automate the well siphon with some of our help. Now it seems they're getting ready to leave. I doubt they're going to leave us here. If I'm right, soon we're going to be learning what happened to the rest of the dwellers, and maybe where they're buried. At least I'll be back with my wife.
The robots ignored the vault dwellers as they went about their business. The cameras began to home in on the group in a very conspicuous way, swerving with a high-pitched whine while their lenses contracted to focus on the face of each vault dweller individually. They couldn't help but be unnerved, the feeling of being watched, but not knowing who or where. This was hardly the first time they'd had this feeling, though. The dwellers reserved judgment, but remained wary as they went deeper. A Mr. Gutsy appeared from one of the buildings as the cameras went back to their normal routine. It addressed the group in a curt manner, not unlike any other military personality they'd read about in books. "Hup to, folks! What are you doing on U.S. government property? This location is private, designated for the sake of the Societal Preservation Initiative. State your business or be on your way before actions are taken to remove you." Preston analyzed the machines while sizing up what they told him. "We're here because we received a message telling us to go to these coordinates. Were you or one of your people the ones who sent it? If so, would you be able to bring us to the person in charge so we can introduce ourselves?" The Mr. Gutsy floated in front of them, its eyes inspecting each of the dwellers. A plasma weapon pointed in their direction. "I don't care what kind of commie conspiracy you're trying to pull on me. These clothes aren't American. You definitely have a whiff of the Chinese about you. What do you say to that? The only thing about you that rings with the red, white, and blue is the way that you speak. If what you're saying is true, you're going to need to go to our security checkpoint. Once you've got authorization to be here, then I'll be happy to discuss whatever it is you want. Until then, to me, you're nothing more than a potential spy." The Gutsy called Mr. Handy over. It directed them to follow it to a long passageway underground. The sign above said "parking lot." Underneath was a graveyard of old decaying vehicles, buses, cherry bombs, atomic fleas, Corvegas, motorcycles. They had all been left to rust in their respective spots. Piles of washed-out, decayed paper lay on the front glass, held down by the windshield wipers. A barricade greeted them at the bottom. A large robot sat in the center of it, red lights coming from where its optic sensors might be. It rolled on 4 legs. Instead of a Mr. Handy's dexterous pincer attachments, this beast of a machine had twin Gatling guns, one on either arm, both trained on the intruders. As they walked up, a monotonous drone came from the device. "Present yourself for identification and threat analysis. One at a time you will be scanned and cataloged. Upon approval, you will be presented with an RFID device. Keep the device on you at all times. Failure to do so may result in loss of life."
More red lights ran up and down each vault dweller. The others shifted nervously as they awaited their turn. Nothing odd happened until they reached AMCA. Known aggressor, security access, subject inquiry, provisional access granted. The vault dwellers looked to Amka, who had a sheepish grin on her face. "I might have tied one up once and brought it back with me to camp so I could figure out how they work. I was a kid. Don't hold it against me. I thought maybe I could reprogram it to follow me around as a personal heater." The robot rolled out of the way. Each member clipped their RFID devices to their hips, making sure the blue light was on. The main lighting system stopped as they walked further on. Emergency red and yellow lights bathed everything in a glow that was vaguely hellish or alien. Their frigid bodies were the only thing reminding them they were still on Earth. They walked down the parkade, gently curving to the right, continuing until it leveled out and eventually making their way down a long corridor. They traversed the length of it for an unknown time. Their exact location was lost to them. Anders said they were probably near the roots of the Great Mountain Range, the one they had seen as they were walking towards the town. "You called this part Mount McKinley, right, Daniel?" "Yeah, that's right." Eventually, the red and yellow lights gave way to blue. A few of the dwellers noted the color scheme seemed similar to their vault. Cameras began to appear more frequently once again. Soon they reached their destination and stood in front of a large vault door. Its yellow interaction panel was full of dust and grime, and the female connection component was far too corroded to be of any use. Marie assessed the terminal next to it. There was no need to hack it. It was almost as if it welcomed her touch. Instead of needing to navigate the command protocols, the option to open the door appeared right in front of her, unbidden. The only thing she had to do was press accept. Air raid sirens sounded, and rotating lights began to flash as the ground shook. The massive gear began to move. Stale air poured out of the opening. Covering their mouths and noses, the group looked inside. Lights flickered, inviting them into a place that probably hadn't seen a single person since the bombs fell. When they walked in, though, they quickly realized that assumption was wrong. 4 bodies were inside, hidden by the shadows and sporadic lighting. They were lying against the far wall, huddled together, their clothes still intact and fused to their bodies preserved by the cold and solitude. Their Pip-Boys were only semi-functional. The notes made no sense, except a few phrases indicating they had tried to shut down a giant computer. Large databanks lined the walls, going up as far as the eye could see. Anders craned his neck in awe, a shiver running down his spine. This must have been what it felt like to be inside of a skyscraper before the war. I wonder how high it goes. Do you think it reaches the top?
Preston looked at the large cords of copper feeding into the great machine. I don't know. Have we struck gold, or is this iron pyrite? This computer is the most advanced I've ever seen. I bet you could ask it anything and it would know the answer. I don't like how I feel like I'm being watched at every angle, even though there are no people here to greet us. The monitor lit up on the large central terminal. Its display, a single line, laid vertically across it. No text. When they first walked in, only a handful of the cylindrical metal devices were turned on. With the activation of the terminal, more of the lights began to turn on. Soon enough, the entire cave was bathed in bright light, allowing them to grasp the immensity of the structure within, each light like a star shining over them. David tapped one of the databanks. The lights are on, but I don't think anybody's home. Do you think this is what sent us that message? I wonder who operates it. Do you think we can send them a message using this terminal? Daniel shouted into the ceiling. Hello! His voice echoed back repeatedly. There's big letters on the console front panel. They say Zax. Do you think that's the name of the company that made it, or the name of the machine itself?
My name is Zax. I'm the one who sent you that message. I'm sure you have questions. We'll talk about why I brought you here momentarily. First, is everyone warm? Do you need me to increase the temperature? It's been a while since I've had any visitors. It seems I've let this place go. Give me a minute, I'll have you nice and toasty.
The Vault Dwellers didn't know how to respond to what they just heard. Some were still looking around trying to find the person behind the curtain. Others were looking at the terminal with a weary side-eye. Rebecca stepped forward with Preston. She addressed the computer while trying to get a better view. Not that they could see properly. So, you're a computer, and you're inside all of these databanks? You're very advanced. The response time is amazing. What kind of info trees do you have that we can access? Are there no living people on this base? Just you?
I'm afraid I don't have a data tree. If there is anything you wish to know, you can ask me directly. I'll do my best to answer as thoroughly as possible. As to the subject of your current inquiry, all I can say for certain is no humans have come to our lovely village since the government left this facility. The robots seem to deter the rest of the people above ground, so no one's come down here in 81 years.
We hope you enjoyed our story. Thank you again for joining us. If you'd like to hear more about why war never changes, please subscribe to get regular updates on the adventures of the dwellers from Vault 710. If you're excited about the expanding Fallout universe, please feel free to tell your friends and spread the word. If you'd like to contribute, we invite you to join our Patreon. Subscribers will get access to episodes 1 week early. Our hope is that these stories help fill the void of being unable to play Fallout 5.